Hello, can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Sorry, we are having a lot of technical difficulties. I'm sitting at Kim's desk, for those who recognize my typical office. So we'll call this meeting to order as people put their cameras on. Hi, Anne. Nice to see you there. Let's see, Maria, Maggie, Scott. Okay, I'll go ahead and call the roll. Sorry, Kim. All right, so we've got myself, I'm just establishing quorum here. We've got Scott from DPP. We've got Shelly and Jay and Anne and Karen and Susie. So we should have a quorum. I want to introduce Delegate Karen Simpson, who was so kind to take time out of her busy legislative priorities down there in Annapolis to come to our meeting today. And she's going to explain a couple of her bills. This should not be a long meeting, everyone, especially since WebEx is having some issues here. So I want to just turn it over to Delegate Simpson, and then to talk about her bills, I'll explain a couple other bills, and then we'll vote on whether we're going to support these bills this session. I will draft up the letters of support. I'm going to testify on a couple on behalf of MSAA. And if the DVCC votes to support them, then I'll certainly put the letter in and say that as well in my testimony. So written testimony on behalf of the DVCC on anything that we vote yes on. So I will turn it over to Delegate Simpson. I'm getting a 5-minute warning.
Well, it says go quick if you're going to finish us in 5 minutes, right? All righty. So let's talk about the first one. Everybody hear me? Yes, good. All right. I'm Delegate Simpson, and so Brett probably could explain these better than I could because, of course, kind of got them both from her. So House Bill 406 is the Marriage Confidential Communication criminal charge. This is not the first time that it's been introduced, but it was not introduced last year. So it kind of comes up as being new, even though it's not. And this is basically kind of takes us out of that archaic attitude of that we're all property. And so the idea is to, if there's been a crime against another spouse, for them to be able to testify about that if they want to. So it's not required, but it does allow them to testify if there's been a crime against them by the other spouse, rather than saying that it doesn't take the wording not competent out, but unfortunately it then says they are competent if they, so maybe we can work on that later and get us up to speed as far as time. Any questions about that bill before I move on to the other one?
Now, we may, if this does shut off, I'll just ask everyone to come back in to the same link. So why don't you keep going, Delegate Simpson, and I'll follow up. If we get cut off, just come back in the link.
Okay. So then the other one is House Bill 482, and it does have a cross-file, Senate Bill 398. I believe it's not the first time that it was filed in the Senate, but it is the first time that it's being filed in the House. And so this is the Criminal Injuries Compensation Board, Victims of Non-Fatal Strangulation. Important bill to me as being a survivor of non-fatal strangulation from my first marriage. So this kind of comes to heart. That was back in the 90s. And so after I kind of woke up hearing the voices because the police were there, but of course my perpetrator remained between me and the police, and I couldn't talk because I had already passed out and wasn't feeling all that great. So I do think this is important to making sure that we cover those expenses. Any questions about that bill?
If everyone could log off right now and come back through the link, I apologize. WebEx is being kind of silly, and I'll see everyone in a second.